Peace, peace. What's up with it, y'all? You live now. Welcome to the book of Al Jahiz, where we discuss science and anthropology and different subjects of that matter. Today, we're going to be talking about the prehistoric West Africa. You know what I'm saying? It's not a subject most people would be talking about, or uh, a lot of people don't cover over West Africa, especially prehistoric history. A lot of people so they talk about East Africa or Egypt mostly. You know what I'm saying? Like you got different made like people that's Egypt, Egyptomaniac. You know, please support the channel. Like, subscribe, hit the bell, get notifications for this, and you can show me some love by doing that, or you always got my cash app in the description there, which is Geechee 9 Deuce, the $ Geechee 9 Deuce. Um yeah, we're gonna get it started, man. Last week we was talking about we talked about Egypt, got Egypt out the way. Because most, my show was mostly gonna be about West African culture. It's gonna be about a lot of everything. It's gonna be about world history too, but I'm gonna focus a lot on West African history because it's covered over a lot. You know what I'm saying? And especially too, because one of the big reasons, because West Africa, most of it is so tropical that you don't have a lot of dry areas where you can find you know like uh fossil finds, or different tools. It's very limited, but recently, to a lot of recent updates due to genetic factors, DNA, going off people that's there now, and a lot of other recent finds that's been found out about. We do have a plethora of things that we could talk about within that moment. Brother Mel, you there?
Yeah,
That
yeah.
brother,
What's going on, bro? Yeah, I'm just sending out
what's,
some invites. Peace to
what's
you,
up with
bro.
it? We got my brother Mel in here from Team O.S.I.R.I.S.
Yes,
Even though this
sir.
the book Al Jahiz, I still represent Team O.S.I.R.I.S. You know what I'm saying? That's the team I operate. You might see me on there, you might see me on here. It's just we just stretching the olive branch, bring more content and more media out. You know what I'm saying? With the
Mm-hmm.
main faces of the team. You might even see us sometimes on Clubhouse getting it in. All right. I'm gonna get this. I'm gonna get this thing started, man. Okay. First of all, I'm gonna show and prove and source up real quick. I'm gonna share my screen, show you the, show you show you guys the article that we're basing this off of. We're using the Wikipedia article, Prehistoric West Africa. I'm also gonna be using a lot of other articles and pictures as well. And we can, I'm gonna do a little reading, and so we can do it. We can do a discussion, discussion throughout the reading as well. You know what I'm saying? Give people a better understanding of what's going on. And this is a multi-part series that I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? This is part one. And we're mostly going to try to cover uh early Stone Age, which is very short. That's a very short segment, it's based off what the finds that we have. We're gonna do Middle Stone Age, and we're gonna do Late Stone Age. In part two, we're gonna try to sum up the Neolithic era, which is the New Stone Age. And that will be next week. I'm starting here, right here, with prehistory of West Africa. The prehistory of West Africa spans from, this right here. This is just an overview right here, and then I'm gonna get into, really get into the, this is just prehistoric Africa in a nutshell, real quick. Just give a summary, to the people what's going on, and we're gonna dig deeper throughout the show. Okay,
Okay,
the
okay.
prehistory of West Africa spans from the earliest human presence in the region until the emergence of the Iron Age in West Africa. A Chilean tool using archaic humans may have dwelled throughout West Africa since at least between 700 and 780,000 BP and 126,000 BP in the middle Pliocene. And to a side note, okay, we got my brother Ngozi in here. Hold on, just a minute. Letting Ngozi in the room. Peace, brother.
What's going on, Amir? I think you got to connect this mic.
Stop screen sharing real quick. We're gonna get it back. We're gonna get back into it, people. Just try to let my brother in
Okay, there you
real
go.
quick.
Hey, peace, Amir.
Peace, brother.
Peace. Yeah. How y'all doing? Peace and love.
Peace and love, bro. We was just getting it in. We just started. We was gonna get it in about prehistoric West Africa. It's a subject that's never really been covered for real, even in the so-called conscious community. You know what I'm saying? Even though we not the conscious community, we
Right.
the scientific conscious community.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The best way to look at it, everything scientifically. Our solution is revealed in science. O.S.I.R.I.S.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's
Let's
an
do it.
O.S.I.R.I.S, Team O.S.I.R.I.S. That's an acronym. It's not, we're not Egyptomaniacs, nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? We represent, we represent the Western Sudan, we are Western Sudan and Creoles being African Americans. And that's another important reason too why I'm, covering this part of history, as African Americans, knowing exactly who we are in this show. So that's why I really want to cover this too, because it really connects to us and hits home here.
Absolutely. That's what we need, yo. That's real.
That's
I wanted to
why I
say,
went in on Egypt last week, so get that out the way. If we have any other issues or any other uh misunderstandings with that subject, we can always return back to that. But most part, we're gonna try to focus on topics that a lot of people don't go into.
Right.
Even within the aspect of Egypt, there's a lot of stuff that people don't even talk about within that. But back to the subject, the priest, I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go back to the beginning. The prehistory of West Africa spans from the earliest human presence in the region until the emergence of the Iron Age in West Africa. The Chilean tool-using archaic humans may have dwelled throughout West Africa since at least between 780,000 BP and 126,000 BP in the middle Pliocene. For the listeners, the Chilean toolkit, saying these type of humans at this time of point would have been in between different types of Homo erectuses, which is a early archaic type human, all the way into Homo heidelbergensis, which is the predecessor for modern humans, Homo sapiens sapien, Neanderthals, and Denisovans, and other subclass that that went extinct.
hey, Geechee, before you continue, and let's make sure we tell them what branch of Homo heidelbergensis it was. It was Homo rhodesian branch.
Oh yeah. Homo rhodesian man, yeah. Yeah, because
So they
Homo rhodesian man was the the African the African predecessor to a lot of other archaic humans. They definitely have a Chilean tool kit. They were kind of like they were kind of they were in concurrent with Neanderthal and other early humans too. Even before you even get to modern humans of today, or more gracile humans, which emerged somewhere around East Africa somewhere. I would say during the Pliocene, middle Stone Age people, for example, is the Iwo Iliro people, possibly a Tyrian, who dwelled throughout West Africa between MS4 and MS2, which is the marine isotope. You know, so that's based off, for people that don't understand it, that's based off the different ice age stages. You know, in the history. You know, this is based off dating, and I know people heard of carbon dating, but this is another strategy to date certain fossils and you know what I'm saying, tools and fossils that was found and stuff. Like it's based off like MS4. You know what I'm saying? It's based off the oxygen levels and all that, you know what I'm saying, with the different ice caps. So we're gonna talk about that too on another day, but I'm gonna continue. We're gradually replaced by including, okay, I'm gonna start over, okay, who dwell through, these Illyro people, or possibly Tyrians who dwell throughout West Africa between MS4 and MS2. Were gradually replaced by incoming late Stone Age peoples who migrated into West Africa as an increase in human conditions, resulting in subsequent expansion of West African forests. West African hunter-gatherers occupied Western Central Africa, Laka, which is a lake, you know what I'm saying? Laka, which is it's an archaeological find in the valley, you know what I'm saying? It's like a lake valley that's in Cameroon. And early than 32,000 BP, dwelled throughout the coastal West Africa by 12,000 BP, and migrated northward between 12,000 BP and 8,000 BP as far as Mali, Burkina Faso, and Mauritania. We got brother. Hold on just a minute. We'll get back to that. We got another guest in the room. Come back to that. We got brother Consul in the room. Oh, he just jumped back off. Might come back. Share my screen again. Get back to the topic. Okay. During the Heliocene, Niger-Congo speakers immediately created pottery in Onjogo, Mali. In the earliest pottery in Africa by at least 9,400 BCE, and along with pottery as well as welding, bows and arrows migrated into Central Sahara, which became their primary region and residence by 10,000 BP. The emergence and expansion of ceramics in Sahara may be linked with the origins of roundhead and Isif rock art, which occupy rock shelters in the same regions. Ajabo, Actors, and Tadaret, hunters in the Central Sahara formed and stored, cooked, untamed Central Saharan flora, as well as tame shepherd Barbary sheep. After the Kel Isuf period, the roundhead period of Central Sahara, the pastoral period followed. In the roundhead period, it represents different art, that was found throughout the Sahara, when the Sahara was green. If you look up Saharan cave art or rock art, you will see a lot of these roundhead figures, uh, type of art and symbols and stuff all throughout, the Sahara. And right here it says, as a result of increasing aridization of the Green Sahara, Central Saharan hunter-gatherers and cattle herders may have used seasonal waterways as migratory route taken to the Niger River and Chad Basin of West Africa. Migration of Saharan people south of the Sahelian region resulted in seasonal interaction with a gradual absorption of West African hunter-gatherers, who primarily dwelt in savannas and forests of West Africa. After having persisted as last as 1000 BP or some period of time after 1500 CE. Remaining West African hunter-gatherers, many of whom dwelt in forest savanna region, were ultimately acculturated and admixed into larger groups of West African agriculturalists akin to migratory Bantu agriculturalists and their encounters with Central African hunter-gatherers, which were the people we're going to be talking about today, because like the Bantus and the Niger Congo people, even though they came, we're going to talk about them at at the end, but they came at a lot of later time. We're going to talk about these archaic humans, like they call the ghost populations, a lot of these old humans, that was in West Africa before the proto Niger Congo speakers even came to West Africa. Anybody in the panel want to say anything before I go ahead?
No, you're going in, bro. It's showing and proving a lot of what I promoted in the past. I was talking about how the Materian culture that we find in North Africa 100,000 years ago from those tools, you find a lot of that in West Africa. And before a lot of those people, developed into how before when the Middle Glacier period kicked in, if it's a ice age in Europe, it's a drought in North Africa at this time. So a lot of these people abandoned certain layers of North Africa, going south of North Africa before even piercing certain portions of sub-Saharan zones. But a phase of them or a layer of them already came from the south before going north. I think it's also something out there article on how Jebel Irhoud tools that he had was distinct from the later toolage that the Assyrian culture brought from the south. And this Assyrian culture was the same population that was responsible for the Nubian complexes that you found in Sudan, because they came out of Northeast Africa, some of their ancestors, and went into Southwest Asia and Arabia and all that. And you find that toolage, which is the same toolage that they had in the Assyrian culture, which showed the route of where haplogroup E M96 came from, splitting from the DE and CTM 168. There was fragment groups of the BT and the A and the A's that was already in North Africa. These are Tyrian cultures. So I'm glad you brought that up, King.
Oh yeah. And the Tyrian cultures too, a perfect example of what these people would have looked like, even though it was a little older, they would have been akin to the same the same finds of that 300,000 year old 300,000 year old artifacts or fossils that they found in Morocco.
Yeah, I think the best example for the Tyrian culture would be, like you said before in the past, Brother Geechee, the Hadza. The Hadza people.
Yeah, the Hadza too. Yeah, the Hadza.
Yeah.
Because Jebel Irhoud, he was I remember you found something that was excellent in the past. I hope you get into it. He was part of the early phase of sub-Saharan Africans that was archaic Homo sapiens, and they found those tools in the Congo, and you talked about them. I forgot what you said.
Yeah, the Lupi Bond. I'm gonna get into that too.
Yeah, so the Lupi Bond was more of what Jebel Irhoud was, but whoever he was, he went north and died up there. He wasn't from there.
No, he wasn't there. He would have been like a not the Hadza people, because they're more modern humans. But he would have been like
yeah, that's what I'm saying. The Hadza is what the Tyrian culture was like, because the Tyrian culture was modern Homo sapiens. They ranged between 100,000 years ago into what we have now. So the closest thing, when you look at the paternal marker of the Hadza, which is BM6, remember when they did the DNA test on Iberian Marusians, right? And remember they said 35% of the DNA was Hadza and Yoruba-like?
Yeah.
That Hadza and Yoruba-like cluster within that DNA was the leftover vestiges of the Tyrian fragmented culture that was lingering around. That's how we know.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right.
That's how we know that EM96 come out of a group of people that was very similar to the Hadza people that was lingering with BT, CT.
These would have been, I would say they would have been middle Stone Age.
Yes.
The Hadza type would have been the middle Stone Age people.
Yes.
But then you had an early Stone Age people, which would have been like the Jebel Irhoud person.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then some of them mixed, some of them in a mix with some of them, middle Stone Age people.
Right, right. But then that's those archaic humans, and that also goes to the ghost population. That ghost population that people trying to play was really closely, if we really follow what these people are saying, the anthropologists and the genetic, they didn't sequence the DNA yet. But if we look at the Mbu with the haplogroup A00, that's in Cameroon, and we look at what they're trying to say, just following it. Not saying I can prove this. I think that ghost population was very much like Jebel Irhoud.
Yeah,
What
yeah,
you're saying.
that's what I think too. I just think the middle Stone Age humans, modern humans, when they came in, like the Hadza type and the ancestors of modern day pygmy groups or Twa groups, they would have intermixed with some of these people to certain degrees when they went into West Africa. That's why the even up until 12,000 years or 10,000 years, the Illyro, the Iwo Illyro skull that we were just talking about, it was archaic, but it was intermixed with more, had modern affinities as well.
Yep. So we got that skull, and we got that A00 marker that's still in Central Africa.
I'm gonna show the people what we were just talking about too. Showing what some humans look like. brother Ngozi said, dude look like 50 Cent.
Yeah, he do.
Shit.
That would look like this. Them brothers would look like this.
Bro, you can't tell me that they 50. Hey, yo, hey, King, when you get a chance, bro, send me that picture too, bro. That's dope. I like that one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I like that one too, yo.
They would look like this, and of course, they would look like this too, but these type of humans would have stretched all the way from, West Africa,
Israel.
all the way North Africa, all the way to the Levant at one point in time.
Yep, that's the Skahul cave woman.
Even what they call the Nubian, even though they call them Nubian, what I'm saying, I don't know why they just call them that. That's just a name, a coin name. But even the Nubian complexes that they found in southern Arabia were these type of people. They were akin to Assyrian.
They only
proto-Assyrian culture.
Yeah, they only call it Nubian complexes because it's really Assyrian culture. But they found those toolages, those spirit chucks first in Sudan and what they call Nubia. So what anthropologists do, wherever they find something at first, is what they use as a nomenclature to talk about whatever it is when it's kind of outside. So they only call it Nubian complexes because they found those chucks, those spirit chucks in Nubia or Sudan first, 30 years before they found it in Arabia, and over there in Oman. So ever since then they call it Nubian complexes.
Yeah, I'm trying to look for. I got another map too where map goes. Here we go. Oh, that ain't it. Got another. I got it in the Kemet. I think I got the map in the Kemet article. So I thought I saved. If I say I'm just go on and show it later. Well, I saw I had the map of the Loopy Bond people. Okay. Here we go. That's what you were talking about here, Ngozi.
Yes, sir. That right there. Yeah, that right there, that Loopy Bond, right there is that's what Jebel Irhoud was. And that goes back, that's from those archaic Homo sapiens, which was the ghost population that they're talking about. But they're playing games. At one point, they tried to say it was possibly Homo heidelbergensis, which was its ghost population, which I doubt. Then they tried to say it was, somebody tried to insinuate that it was a late phase of Homo erectus, which I also doubt. Anybody that understands genetics knows that species, even like when you deal with the taxonomy, genus is Homo, but the species is different. Yet and still, because the genus is Homo, there's a certain line range through sexual selection where you can reproduce successfully within a 1,000,000-year range. So to put the percentile at Homo erectus, well, even Homo heidelbergensis, which is slightly closer, because they kind of like tried to throw that out the window because they was trying to say now that Neanderthal comes from Homo habilis, but Homo sapiens didn't, but the common thread was Homo ancestor. So if you follow what they're saying, Homo Rhodesian man, which was a brother branch to Homo habilis that stayed in Africa, was probably the root to us, which we all split from some type of Homo ancestor, which is really a late phase of Homo erectus. But within that percentile range through sexual selection, it doesn't make sense for it to be Homo erectus, and it doesn't make sense for it to be that. So the only closest population that we're seeing, because science is fragmented. It's not going to be one line to find so easy. It's pockets, gaps.
Yeah.
So the only closest layer to what this ghost population was is the fossils that they found in Morocco. Not saying he was from there, but that Jebel Irhoud type man, and that Jebel Irhoud type man was also that same type man that was responsible for this loopy bond culture that had tools in this area before going north. These are archaic.
Could they go back and forth with that too? Because like they'll say, I read some articles that say that the Tyrian culture were like akin to them, but they was like a southern version of the Tyrian. And like like with them dotted, you see where these dotted lines at? This is Christopher Irwin's book.
Yeah.
Where the dotted lines at, those are the areas and regions where the more modern Homo sapiens would have developed at. You know what I'm saying? Before traveling out into different areas, meeting up with other Homo sapiens that were a little bit archaic than themselves. Like if you look at where I say the Matumi cave, those arrows going that way, those are like where the Hadza proto pygmy people migrated to when they went into Shumlaka 30,000.
So and this also makes sense because Shumlaka, this phase represents those early East hunter gatherers that went into that part of Africa around 30,000 years ago and became pygmies from insulin growth factor 1 mutation because they environment.
Yeah.
Now, in another layer of them, this goes back to that Neslet culture skull. Neslet culture skull that they found in Upper Egypt, I think that's around 40,000 to 38,000 years ago, which was slightly distinct morphologically speaking, because this dude right here, this represents the earliest phase of possibly the mid phase of haplogroup E, M96, which pierced through Sudan. This is how you know this is what I'm saying. This is how you know that this is Tyrian culture in North Africa, not the proto-Assyrian culture. You got a proto, you got the middle, and you got the one that became the direct Assyrian culture, which gave rise to the EM96. And I like that map you just showed. But that Neslet culture skull at 42 something thousand years ago was a perfect example of what early EM96 developed or dispersed from before it used Ethiopia or the Red Sea near Eritrea as an incubator to form into multiple upstream and downstream mutations before dispersing out in multiple layers or multiple directions before going back and forth through other layers of Africa. But that root to that is the third phase of the Assyrian culture, not even a proto phase of it. That's deep. I like that map.
Oh yeah. Even right here, it talk a little bit about it from this is the where I got that map from. This is the same article or PDF where I got the map from, and this is from Keynes. It come out of a bigger book, come out of the Cambridge Book of African History, and this is Christopher Irhoud's portion of the book. Where
is that the one with the orange? That's the one with the orange cover, right?
I believe so. Yeah, it is. Yeah. When he goes in.
I was just looking at that the other day.
What'd you say, Mel?
So I was just looking at that the other day.
Oh yeah. It's a good read. Even like Christopher Irhoud little section where he write in here, he talk about 22,000 to 700 BC. Even though this is a later time, we're gonna get back into the other time, like the earlier times too. But even right here, we were just talking about it. Oh shoot. It talk about what we was just saying. It say in West Africa, however, the makers of Middle Stone Age technology did not disappear. They abandoned in newly desert areas immediately south, expanding Sahara, leaving them uninhibited. At the same time, resulting replacement of rainforests by savanna in parts of West Africa. Nearer to Atlantic coast, apparently opened up a new favorable environment for survival of archaic humans and their technology. In contrast to the outcome in most other parts of the continent in West Africa, the Middle Stone Age and its makers remain in sole position for several thousand years longer, persisting as recently as 13,000, 12,000 BCE, all across the better water areas of the savanna and residential rainforest, from Senegal to the west to southern Nigeria in the east. The one item of human skeletal evidence available from the from the era in West Africa, the skull from the Iwo-Iliro archaeological site in Nigeria. That's what I was just talking about. Dates to the very end of the period, reaffirms the late persistence of archaic humans in that part of Africa. In the words of the investigators to the Iliro to Iwo Iliru skull possesses near cranial morphology, intermediate in shape between archaic hominids such as Neanderthals and Homo erectus and modern humans. That's what I was just talking about. Like they in the mix with the middle Stone Age people, like the Hadza type. This morphology is outside the range of modern humans' variability. Emphasis added. They described the Iwo Iliro skull as being most similar to the to the to the anatomically modern specimens from the Levant of around 100,000 years ago, and the specimens from the other Middle Stone Age sites in Africa, and interiorly distinct from the fully modern humans who have occupied West Africa since 12,000 BC, which were the predecessor of the Niger Congo speakers or the Niger Godofin speakers. The skull morphology, in other words, of the anatomically modern makers of Middle Stone Age industries from before 100,000 years ago down to the latest Middle Stone Age, as exemplified by the Iwo Iliro skull, were not actually modern. They indeed were closer related to us than Neanderthals, but they were not people just like us. They were archaic humans, and they lacked the full suit of capacities that characterize all humans today. The capabilities were such that they sometimes coexisted for thousands of years with nearby full modern human populations before finally becoming extinct. They were also close enough genetic relationship to us, have interbred a few cases with fully modern humans in Africa.
That's real. That's
Yeah,
real. Yeah, they good. I mean, this is how I know that we are visionaries, bro, because a lot of this stuff we already talked about. So I
yeah,
like that.
Yep. Yep.
yeah. We be building on this all day long.
Yeah, yeah. Hold on, King.
Okay, I'm gonna get back into the subject line though.
Yeah, it's crazy. We've been talking about this for a whole minute.
Yeah, I might have to if this show like because how much information it is. I might have to do more than one show. I mean, more than two shows. I mean,
Yeah, yeah. Just break it up.
yeah, break it up. But we gonna go all the way through this, go all the way through the prehistoric West Africa till we get all the way to the Neolithic period. So
Mm-hmm.
So it goes to show that us as West Africans are a bunch of hybrids. We've been hybrids.
yeah, for real. And all that mess, I'm gonna get into it too. All that mess that brother Chief X, we always been in the jungles. That ain't true.
Some layers of our ancestors have.
Yeah, some layers of us have. You know what I'm saying?
But not all of it. Absolutely.
Not all of it.
Yeah, that's what he don't understand. You know, we don't represent a homogenous situation either when it comes to what we have a unique cluster now, but that cluster represents demifusions. It represents
different migrations.
Merging together to become new.
Even them archaic humans, they was moving in and out of the tropics.
Yeah.
Dry land to back into the tropical shit.
But shit, he kind of make, you follow it scientifically, even though the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was extremely pseudo, but when he talk about this, this lost tribe of Shabazz going into the steamy jungles and conquering it, the people that was living the jungle life, shit, it kind of makes sense that a group of North Africans went in southern parts and mingled with the archaic population that really was living the forest life.
Yeah. It's just like the Epic of Gilgamesh too.
Yeah. But you know what? That's why I say, King, as Methodists as well. This is why I love us, because we deal with it all. A lot of these things that was written down was told in oral traditions thousands and thousands of years before it was written. So the name may change a little bit, the story may change a little bit, but a lot of that stuff that you find in the Mesopotamia and Near East, a lot of that shit come from their earliest ancestors that was in the early phases of the Green Sahara. And the only thing that differs is they migrate out, these humans, because they leave out as animists. They leave out in certain situations and certain environmental factors change their ways of looking at things, but they left out of Africa with symbolic thought. They left out of Africa with belief and understanding, the elements and nature and different environmental factors. So by the time Homo sapiens make it to Mesopotamia, there's a bunch of floods over there. But they remember through time, through oral tradition, stories that they left out with. So narratives may change, but this is why we find similarity into the epics of Gilgamesh and all that, the Middle Eastern stories and even modern African mythology, the Dogon stories and all this shit. It's just you can see the link. This is what makes us human. This is humanity right here. This is powerful.
And Ngozi, I wanted to ask you too. What do you think? We're gonna get into it later too. You know what I'm saying? But I just want to ask you right now, as I go through the line. Do you think that M33? You think it came into West Africa with E1B1A, or did did it slightly migrate earlier, or did it just migrate with that population?
Well, based off them finding haplogroup DO in Nigeria, and I think that layers of DE, and I'm sorry, after DE split and early E of 96, that E1A kind of went west a little bit before EV38.
That's what I thought too. I'm
gonna tell you what happened. Either E developed in between early green Libya or in between the far western corridor of Sudan that we know today, right? And it goes into multiple directions. Now, here's the thing. I don't think that E1A or EM33 ever touched Ethiopia.
Okay.
The only branch that touched Ethiopia or Eritrea was EP177. And EP177 used Eritrea and Ethiopia as an incubator to form it to EP2. And EP2 gave rise to EM215 and EB38 much later, before they turned around and dispersed. But that E1A developed near Sudan, went through Libya, and kind of found its way into western parts of Africa first. Before
it went through southern Libya, and then it traveled above. It like some of them traveled through Chad.
Yeah.
They was in the Central Sahara too. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, and they also was in Morocco and all that shit first, because a lot of Amazigh people have E1A. That's they call it an old autochthonous marker, which shows that these dudes, they never went through the shit that we went through, or our clade of E went through, that went into Ethiopia. Or I don't even think E developed far deep into the southern parts. It was near literally Eritrea before splitting, and then
I think that marker. I think E's. I think they some Sudanic mutations.
They are. It's a Sudanic mutation, but the later E that I got and all us got, that shit mutated in near Eritrea before going back to Sudan later. But his uncle, E1A or EM33, was already in West Africa.
Yeah.
It went way before we got
Yeah,
there.
look at this, bro. Hold on. Shit. Hold on. Show you this thing. I got maps for days. WB.
That's what's up.
Hold on. Pictures. Look at this map. And it kind of explain what we're talking about too.
Yeah. Niger Gaddafi, yeah. See? Yeah, that man, this is dope. This makes sense. Yes.
The Batu culture complex, okay. With the
Mm-hmm.
phrasings, the horn.
Yeah, because even though Nilo-Saharians, even though they're like, as we know them, they like these pastoralist type people, but doing like around like 12,000 years ago, they were still hunter gatherers.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? They were these aquatic people that hunted like crocodiles and hippos, and they was known for their harpoon spears.
Yes.
And a lot of them in a mix with actually the proto phase of them, you know what I'm saying, the ancestral phase of these people, or the predecessor of Afro-Asiatic people, or proto-Omotic people, and proto-Niger Gaddafian people. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And of course, a lot of the older branches lived on, and you know what I'm saying, and just caught up with more modern technology during the Neolithic period, you know what I'm saying, which formed Nilo-Saharan.
So yes, that's dope. What you gonna say, King?
Because even you look at this map here, you see where it say 13,000 BC Afrasians, 10,000 BC,
10,000 Congo,
but it's 11,000 middle Nile traditions, which are Nilo-Saharan. So they was hunter gatherers for a long time, but they became pastoralists 11,000 BC as we know them today.
So keep that. Yeah, I know you're gonna keep this. I want you to send me that too, bro. When you get off there, this is dope. But I do know for a fact that it's an article that says that Proto-Afro-Asiatic split from Eastern Nilotic languages 16,000 years ago. So even those early Proto-Afro-Asiatic speakers 16,000 years ago that were very close to Omotic people were hunter-gatherers. They were hunter-gatherers too, the earliest Afro-Asiatic people.
Yeah. They just had a tradition of collecting grain.
They collected grain later, but the earlier phase, 16,000 years ago, when they first split, they were very close to hunter gatherers. And I do know,
of course, Then they was known for like beekeeping and stuff like that.
Yeah, beekeeping, yeah. That's why when I remember you brought the tribe who were Afro-Asiatic speakers who were still like they were still hunter gatherers, but they don't have a lot of the words when it comes to grain and everything else within the language. Just like with Mindi. Mindi is one of the earliest phases that's close to Niger Congo at an early phase, but it's absent of a lot of the words that the later phase of Niger Congo have. That's why they have a problem with understanding if either Mindi is a Niger Congo language or is it a language isolate that's a sister branch to
it. And then too, on top of that, the Proto-Mindi people been living alongside Nilo-Saharan people for a long time.
Yeah.
They've been trading off each other's code. That's why even the Songhai language, which is Zerma, you know what I'm saying, which is actually Zerma language, that's why that's so confusing with it being Nilo-Saharan, because it got so many influences back from Niger Gaddafian language or Proto-Mindi language.
That's what I'm saying, man. We can't even, man, this African stuff is so beautiful, man. When you really get into it, it's messy, but it's thick, yo.
Yeah, we're gonna get into the pictures at the photos in, but I'm gonna get back into the article.
Go ahead, brother. Hey, Geechee, I'm jumping off and jumping on. I'm at the gig too.
Okay. We're going to go into the early Stone Age. The Chilean tube using archaic humans may have dwelled throughout West Africa since at least between 780,000 BP and 126,000 BP, Middle Pliocene. You know what I'm saying? These were like archaic humans, like Homo habilis,
Mm-hmm.
this different types of, which was himself was a branch of Homo erectus. There are different varieties of Homo erectus too, which is considered Chilean tool.
Yeah, I see that.
And at Onjogo in Mali, a yet to be dated lower Paleolithic uh, economy example group, uh, pebble cores, pebble tools, polymetroids, uh, uh, spher- uh, uh, spheroids, subspheroids with with unpreserved Achillean implements, cleavers, hand axes is present. You know what I'm saying? This and that would probably be like the Tyrian culture or the Lukuban culture. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
These type of they're like modern humans, but at a phase where certain modern humans still have archaic affinities
Yeah,
and stuff
yeah.
like that. Because you even it's like the humans that we specifically come from, you know what I'm saying, we went to a bottleneck in East Africa. You still had these other, you know what I'm saying, would be considered modern humans still lingering around, but they weren't as modern as we were, but they were
Correct.
still
Correct.
modern, but you know what I'm saying, still had old, old human affinity and stuff like that.
Right.
And right here, that's the skull. That's the
The literal side.
Ewo Lero, Eliru site and the Eliru skull right there. It's a middle Stone Age. The Middle Stone Age. This is when a lot of modern humans, or these early like the uh ancestors of what we call pygmies,
Mm-hmm.
start migrating into West Africa, Central Africa, in integrating with some of these archaic humans. I heard say Middle Stone Age West Africans may have dwelled at Onjogo, Mali, 71,000 BP, 59,000 BP, 59,000 BP to 28,000 BP. Falime Valley, Senegal, at MS5. MS5 is MS5 is 13,000 to 80,000 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Based off, the isotope stage, Heliocene period. This would be like probably, it'll be probably that would be pre-Heliocene. You know what I'm saying? Like during the worm ice age.
The second one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Barima, in Senegal, my bad. Timassus, Senegal, 62,000 BP to 25,000 BP. Barima, Ghana, 50,000 BP to 20,000 BP. Miseria, Senegal, MS4.
Mm.
Tobora, Senegal, 30,000 BP. Laminia, Gambia, 24,000 BP to 21,000 BP. In Johnny, uh, Pendio, Senegal,
Senegal.
11,600 BP, and Saxno Munya, 11,000 BP near Falime, Mali. There's also scant evidence of Middle Stone Age dwelling at Onjogo, Mali between 191,000 BP to 130,000. Aside the scant evidence, Middle Stone Age West African likely dwelled continuously in West Africa between MS4 and MS2, and likely were not present in West Africa before MS5. Amid MS5, Middle Stone Age West Africans may have migrated across the Western Sudan savanna, continue to reside in the region were Western Sudan Savannah and West African Sahel. In the late Pliocene, Middle Stone
Middle,
Age,
yeah.
Middle Stone Age West Africans began to dwell along parts of forest and coastal regions of West Africa. Tiamas's synagogue, more specifically by at least 61,000 BP. Middle Stone Age West Africans may have begun to migrate south of Western Sudanian savannas, and may at least 25,000 BP may have begun to dwell near the coast of West Africa. Amid iridification in MS5 and regional change of climate in MS4. In the Sahara and in the Sahel, Assyrians may have migrated southward into West Africa by Livour, Mauritania, Timasis, Senegal, lower Senegal River Valley. That's what Ngozi was talking about. So these migrations, Middle Stone Age people are more modern humans, migrating these areas. And these wouldn't even, and these right here, these wouldn't even, this still not even the Niger Congo speakers. It's not even
Yeah,
the
yeah.
predecessor
They
of
from East.
Proto Niger Congo. Would you send to say, Mel?
I said, yeah, they still some from the East.
Yeah, they still in the East. You know what I'm saying? They still, doing their thing over there.
Mm-hmm.
Them E's all over there developing, doing their thing. These the predecessors of what we call pygmies, you know what I'm saying, today, or the Twa, you know what I'm saying, and like you got like they like during that time period, they wouldn't even be like what we would think of the Twa today, like the short stature and stuff. That would have came later in their
Gotcha.
development, when they traveled south to the rainforest and stuff. But they probably would have been some average height, some robust,
Okay.
or some of you like the same size as the Hydra, like we were talking about earlier. And in 35,000 BP, Middle Stone Age West Africans and West African Archaic humans may have admixed with one another, resulting in the development of Iwo-Iliro people, Iwo-Iliro skull, who may have remained rather isolated in West Africa and thus remain distinct from both uh, contem- contemporaneous West Africans in the Sahara and from any other African population in the transhistory period between Pliocene and Paleocene. So we went through the Middle Stone Age, with the ancestors of modern day pygmies, what we call people of the forest. I don't like to use the term pygmy because they're derogatory. But humans of the forest, people
Right.
with short stature, hunter gatherers. Even the twa, I don't want to use the twa either. That's kind of derogatory either. That's a derogatory Bantu term. Call it
Yeah, yeah.
because they was kind of like doing later on. We're gonna get into that later on through the Neolithic era, but they kind of get oppressed by the Bantu
Yeah.
expansion. Now we get into the late Stone Age, 32,000 BP to the 20,000 BP. Earlier than 32,000 BP and by 30,000 BP, late Stone Age West African hunter-gatherers were dwelling in the forests of Western Central Africa. We still talking about the predecessor of the
Schumacher.
pygmy. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
these B markers. You know what I'm saying? Other different branches of age. uh, Earlier than 32,000 BP at the Merritt and Shum Laka, 12,000 BP at MB Crater, and excessively dry Ogolian period occurred, spanning from 20,000 BP to 12,000 BP In 15,000 BP, the number of settlements made by Middle Stone Age West Africans decreased as there was an increase in human conditions, expanse of the West African forest, and increased in the number of settlements made by the late Stone Age West African hunter-gatherers. Macro using late Middle Stone Age people. And by the way, late Stone Age people or people are more so people that will be almost like us, like more modern West African speakers. Well,
Mm-hmm.
okay, by 15,000 BP, the number of settlements by the Middle Stone Age West Africa decreased as there was an increase in human conditions, expansion of West African forests, and increase in the number of settlements made by late Stone Age West African hunter-gatherers. Macrolith using late Middle Stone Age people, example, the possibility archaic human admix, or late persisting early modern human.
Mm-hmm. Like we just
Iwo
saying.
Iliro fossils of the late Middle Stone Age who dwelled in Central Africa and Western Central Africa to Western Africa were replaced by microlith using late Stone Age Africa. Non-archaic humans admix late Stone Age Shum Laka fossils dated between 7,000 BP to 3,000 BP as they migrated from Central Africa to Western Central Africa into West Africa. Between 16,000 BP to 12,000 BP, late Stone Age West Africans began dwelling in Eastern and Central forest regions. Ghana, Ivory Coast, Nigeria between 18,000 to 13,000 BP at Timid West, Askro, Askokro, Kana, and southern region of Ghana. 13,000, 13,050 and 230,000 BP at Benderville in the southern region of Ivory Coast. I'm my bad. That's 200, 230 BC. My bad. In the southern region of the Ivory Coast, 11,200 BP to 200 BP at Iwo Iliro in Nigeria of the Western Africa. By 11,000 BP, the last settlement made by Middle Stone Age West Africans and the earliest settlements made by Late Stone Age West African hunter-gatherers emerged in the western region of Filime Valley, Senegal of West Africa. Middle Stone Age West Africans and Late Stone Age West African hunter-gatherers likely did not become admixed with one another and were culturally and ecologically distinct from one another.
Okay.
I don't believe that. I
hit
think
the footnote there, number 5.
let me see right here.
Yeah. Okay. Continuity of the Middle
You
of
said
Stone Age into
continue
the early
to.
Stone.
I don't believe that all the way. I believe
Yeah,
they
you have
had
to
to.
check into that.
They had to at least, they probably mixed to some degree because it's proven in the DNA.
Right, but then it might not be a large amount of mixing because what he's saying is that they're distinctive. They had cultures that were distinctively different.
Yeah,
So
that's what it is.
they might have mixed, but like I said, it
That
might
that
not have been
culture
enough.
stayed the same.
Exactly, it might not have been enough to change their culture.
Yeah, like for example, if like one came to their portion of or where they live, where they territory, they coming into their
Right.
society, and likewise with the other group.
And then it says ecologically distinct, so they could have kept everything the same and then just mixed a bit. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. And right here, we get into 20,000 BP to 10,000 BP. And as 19,000 years ago, African bearers capital group E1B1A, EP38 likely transversed across the Sahara from east to west. These are more of our West African ancestors. The other groups are our ancestors too, because they all mixed
Yeah.
into the gene pool.
Right.
But these will be, your more the
More recent.
predecessor of the proto Niger Congo speakers coming into
Yeah,
West
they're more
Africa.
recent.
Yeah, more recent. Yeah, this kind of puts you in mind how the Indo-European speakers when came into Europe and in the mix with the early Neolithic forms and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. but even this article doesn't say it, but I mentioned it earlier that EM33, that marker that the Dogons have migrated into West Africa either before or a little bit sometime after. I mean, not after, but sometime with the E1B1A in some instance. But I think
Mm-hmm.
they were a little bit there before. You know what I'm saying? EM33 that the Dogon had. And right here it says around 18,000 BP, Mende people along with Gambian people grew in population size. Even though it says Mende and Gambian, the Mende people are more recent people. These are just example groups that they're using based on genetics or whatever. But they just use example group. But the Mende were here, they're probably being represented as the proto Mende people. And the
Mm-hmm.
Gambian people are actually the proto-Senegambian population, or the Atlantic Congo speakers they'll know today that fall up under like Balanta, Fula, Serer languages, you know what I'm saying? Later on, Wolof, Lipu languages of that nature. And Jola grew into size. The Terralefs of Morocco, these Terralefs of caves of Morocco, who have been radiocarbon dated between 15,000 100 cal BP and 13,900 cal BP, and were found to be 63.5% Natufian, were also found to be 36.5% sub-Saharan African, example Hadza
Mm-hmm.
type, which we talking about them, Materian groups,
Yep.
the middle Stone Age groups that we was just talking about that were already there, and of course some of them EM33 markers too that Dogon have, because I'm just adding this in here because you can find those markers in certain Iberian Marusian finds, and certain even the people the Geechee people that's in the Canary Islands, in the mix with some of these northern populations. And right here it say, it say the Sub-Saharan example is Hadza, which is drawn out most of all by West African type, which is like the Yoruba Mende type. You know what I'm saying? This right here kind of crushes what Chief X be talking about. We be talking about some of the West Africans were always in the forest and all that. There wasn't no Africans up north in the last 30,000 years. Right here, this 13,000 years we're talking about right here.
Yep.
You got these proto Niger Congo speakers even that far north, but they was in the Sahara. Like most of their population was in the Central Sahara, so they wouldn't even in their recent areas where they at now, because all these areas were tropical and humid at this time period. And they say, in addition to having similarities with the remnant of a more basal sub-Saharan African lineage, basal West African lineage share between Yoruba and Mende people, which they would have been the predecessor of these groups. The sub-Saharan African DNA and the Tau for a lot people of the Iberian Marusian culture may be best represented by the modern West Africans, example Europe. Wow. So that kind of crushes and debunks all that crap Chief X was
Yeah.
talking about.
But
You
you know
know,
you be making that stuff up anyway.
yeah. In 15,000 BP, Niger Congo speakers may have migrated from the Sahelian region of West Africa along the Senegal River and introduce haplogroup M2A1 into North Africa, resulting modern Mauritanian peoples and Berbers of Tunisia inherited. There you go. You know what I'm saying? Some West African type groups in North Africa in the mix. You know what I'm saying? With some of these,
Mm-hmm.
who was talking about up here, these Natufian, y'all missed on there. I said the Natufian groups. These Natufian groups would have been these Afrasian type groups. You know what I'm saying? That migrated, you know what I'm saying, into the Middle East and migrated back into Africa. You know what I'm saying? Bringing in these, Western Asian, genetics.
Oh.
Between 12,000 BP and 8,000 BP, West African hunter-gatherers then likely migrated from coastal West Africa towards the north of West Africa as far as Mali, Burkina Faso, and Mauritania, as evidenced by their microlith uh, industries, quartz, sandstones amid the early period of the Heliocene. West African hunter-gatherers may have had Sahelian lithic industries from Senegal and Niger, which, while it may have derived from the distinct sub-Saharan artifacts lithic traditions, may have derived from the Shumlaka lithic traditions of Cameroon. While the Nigerian Congo migration may have been from West Africa into Kordofan, possibly from Kordofan, Sudan, Niger Congo speakers, uh, example, Mande, or Proto Mande, accompanied by untamed helmeted guinea fowl, may have traversed into West Africa, tamed the hem guinea fowl by 3000 BC, and via the Bantu expansion traversed into other parts of sub-Saharan Africa,
Mm-hmm.
Central Africa, West Africa, and Southern Africa. how you feel about that, Mel? That that
Yeah, it's
that the
crazy
helmet
though.
guinea fowl, which is some type of African chicken.
Hey, can you pull that picture up? That thing gotta look funny.
Which
Uh,
picture?
the helmet guinea fowl. Click on that real quick.
Oh yeah, go to that. Yeah, like a chicken.
Okay.
I mean, that's people love. What they say. Black people love chicken,
Yep.
and we domesticated this type of pheasant. Chicken is a type of pheasant or fowl,
Right, a fowl. Yeah,
like
yeah.
turkey. You know what I'm saying? Or
Uh huh.
they fall in the same family and genus. Right here say according to Sterving 2020. 2020. This recent. You know
Yep.
what I'm saying? While not defiant near the Great Lakes, Chisatones. Uh, these must be different. Yeah, these different parasites. Chisatones, Masani,
Mhm.
S. Hamatombium underwent
Underwear.
evolution. Substantially, there was an expansion alongside the Nile River. From Egypt, the presence of schizatones may have expanded via migrating Yoruba people. Or they not Europe. They would have been an example of Europe people, or probably predecessor to Europe people.
Got you.
So
Got you.
so saying that of course that these people were of the Nile region, Nile basin at one point in time, because even the Nile stretched all into Chad. You had the yellow Nile that stretched into Chad. So that Gaddafi and Sudanic area still would have been considered the Nile basin.
Right.
So these Sudanic people, You know what I'm saying? Even before it, even here, it says Egypt, but it wouldn't have been no Egypt at that time period. You know what I'm saying? They just
Nah,
do
hell
it.
no.
But in that area, what we call Egypt today, in those areas in Sudan, you know what I'm saying? These Western Sudan or Sudanic type people, or the predecessors of these people, would have been around those areas. You know what I'm saying? Earlier time, based off these parasites that you know what I'm saying, they probably carried into West Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, thereafter, crystal stones may have expanded via migrating Bantu peoples into the into the rest of sub-Saharan Africa, etc., Southern Africa, Central Africa. You know, that's the Bantu expansion. 10,000 BC, Niger Congo speakers developed technology and employed uh,
Pyro,
pyrotechnology.
fire technology. Got
Yeah,
you.
pyrotech, fire. Iron making and stuff like that. Uh,
Okay.
and employed substance strategy at Njogo, Mali. Prior to uh, 9400 BCE, Niger Congo speakers independently created and used matured ceramic technology, pottery and pots, uh, to contain the cooked grain. Digger to excel, it's probably some type of grain, like type of rice.
Mhm.
West
Yeah,
African
rice,
rice,
rice. Okay.
finger millet,
Mm-hmm.
pearl millet.
Like millet. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, this is all
Yeah, pearl
West
millet.
African
Mm-hmm.
crop. There are a lot of proto Mindi or proto Najica dolphin speakers would have domesticated. And, they would have also had domesticated Sarcon too, but they would have got the
Mm-hmm.
Sarcon from Nilo-Saharan people, which they lived alongside with certain places, traded culture with, intermarried with. Uh, ethno ethno ge- uh, geographically and historically, West African women have been creators of pottery in most West African ceramic traditions, and their production of ceramics is closely associated with creativity and fertility.
Mm.
At mid the 10th millennium BCE, microlith used in West Africa migrated you migrated into and dwelt in Njogo alongside earlier residing West Africans in Njogo. Among two exiting I'm sorry, along two existing cultural areas, earlier residing West African in Jogo were of a cultural area encompassing the Sahara region. Tenere, Niger, Chad, the Air Mountains, Niger, Acacia, Libya, and Algeria. Algeria, Tangalagal, Niger, Timet, and Niger again. Well, Timet is a place in Niger. Of Africa and microlith using West Africans were of cultural area encompassing the forest region of West Africa. This is the spread of the these late Stone Age people.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Proto, these what I consider yeah, I would consider these people proto Neolithic people. This but they're still at in their hunter gatherer phase or whatever. Right here it say here it say following the the Ogolian period uh between the late, and I think the Ogolian period too is synonymous with the Oyanian period, which is you. I'm gonna show that too in a later article by Roger Blanche
Okay.
and Christopher Eric as well. Right here say following the Ogolian period between the late 10th millennium BC and early ninth millennium BC, the creators of the Njogo pottery, the earliest pottery in Africa migrated along with their pottery with Njogo Mali into the Central Sahara. The emergence and expansion of ceramics in the Sahara may be linked with the origin of both the round head and Kel Yusuf rock art, which occupied rock shelters in the same region. That's what we were talking about earlier in the overview, of this whole prehistoric West Africa. These are the people that would have grown these heads all throughout the Sahara. Jado, acacia, and Tederet, as well as have a common resemblance, traits, and shapes. Whether or not Njogo ceramic culture spread as far as Barsiba, Egypt, which had pottery that resembled Njogo pottery and had implements used for grinding like at Njogo, and was followed by subsequent ceramic cultures. Wadi El Akador, Soyarab, and the Playa remains to be determined. And the reason why too, what I'm saying, of course, you would have found stuff like that over there because even the scope, the Niger, they of course they came from the east anyway, and then you still have you even still had to up to the day you still have like the Cadofian speakers that's in the Nuba Hills, and they would have been a part of this a scope or genetic scope or cluster of these people. Albert in here, Dr. Albert. What's up with the
Oh, what's
council?
going on, Couch? What's going on, Couch?
Yo, what's going on?
Yeah, man, we just building on prehistoric West Africa. Just talking about,
Yeah.
what I'm saying, the
Yes, sir.
predecessors of West Africans. Went through.
I tried to get in earlier, but I had a birthday party to go to.
Oh yeah,
okay.
yeah, I feel that.
What's this up? Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
brother. Welcome to this is my YouTube channel. The book of Jahiz. We talk about science, different histories, go into different histories that ain't usually talked about. We can go to a lot of things here. Of course, we are a on branch of Team O.S.I.R.I.S.
Hey, you got to explain that Jahiz one day.
Oh yeah. I did on the first show. Al Jahiz is the father of evolution.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He also wrote about different social issues, you know what I'm saying, with black being black and white.
Yep.
Get back into the we kind of almost done wrapping up with the wiki article. And you know what I'm saying, going to kind of the sources, the other little sources that I have too. So you know what I'm saying? Yes, wiki is a good source, but we have other sources too, not depending on wiki like that, even though it does have credible sources too. Okay, we're going in, talking about how we found some of all these different pottery, ceramics, what I'm saying, all through the Sahara, even all the way to the Nile Valley Basin. Here it say between 8200 BCE to 6400 BCE, Central Saharan hunter-gatherers of Libya, Takakori, Ayun, Afuda, gather a diverse selection of flora, aquatic plants from lakes, grasses from savanna grasslands, and utilize ceramic pots to process and cook the flora. They was cooking greens.
Exactly.
Cooking them greens back then.
Yep, in the pot.
And it say by 10,000 BP, the primary region of residence for Niger Congo speakers who wielded bows and arrows may have been the southern region of Central Sahara, a mid and early period of Paleocene, semi-settled epic Paleolithic and Mesolithic countries. You know what I'm saying? The epic Paleolithic, that's like the end, the upper Paleolithic going into the Neolithic.
Okay. Okay.
Mesolithic, that's middle, Stone Age. Who created and refined material culture, stone tools, and decorative pottery as early as 10,000 BP. Also created the engraved Kel Isuf and painted roundhead rock art styles located in the region. Some in Acacia and some in Adjara of Libya in the region. Some in Eritrea, most abundant in Tassali, Niger of
That's
Algeria.
the Tassie Cave.
Yeah, the cave art. Yeah, yeah, Tassali. Yeah. That's the famous cave art where you find like the cows and all that of the region, and
Mm-hmm.
the Jago of Nigeria in the region, the Jago of Niger. Amid the early Sahara, the round head rock artists who had a sophisticated culture and engaged in activity of hunting and gathering. Also developed pottery utilizing vegetation and managed animals. The cultural importance of shepherd Barbary sheep, a trim, a, ammo, ammotragus,
Amatragus, Lurvia.
ammotragus lorvia, which is scientific term for the sheep. That's
Mm-hmm.
amazing right there too. That's also a dagger for Chief X. You know what I'm saying? Our people, we domesticated the Barbary sheep.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That's north. We all in Nigeria. We all in Algeria. We all in Libya. You know what I'm saying? One point in time, these early prehistoric periods. uh, is the Barbary sheep is shown via the presence in the round head rock art throughout the Central Sahara, Libyan region, and Tedra art, Acacia, Algerian region, and uh, Tassali, Niger.
Mm-hmm.
Barbary sheep were uh, corralled in enclosed lithic areas near UN Afuda cave from up to 9,500 BP. This continued until the beginning of the pastoral Neolithic in the Sahara, between 75,000 BP to 3,500 BCE. Amid the Green Sahara, untamed Central Saharan flora were formed, stored, and cooked, and tamed animals, which is Barbary sheep, were milked and managed by hunter-gatherers near the Takari rock shelter, which is
Yeah.
represented by the broader Sahara. This continued until the beginning of the pastoral Neolithic in the Sahara. Between 11,000 BP and 10,000 BP, Yoruba and Ishun people grew in population, which is the example group, not exactly the
Yep.
Yoruba or the Ishun people. They
Hey,
wasn't around actually yet, but they probably would,
and
they
the,
would have
hey,
been a, huh?
hey, the sheep was probably eating the greens too. So now you got a continuous culture there because the animals are only gonna go where there's plenty of water and plenty of food.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, but the Yoruba people and the Shun people, they would have been the ancestors of the Shun of the Yoruba and the Shun people. Because
Mm-hmm.
the Shun people, of course, are the Edo people of Nigeria, Yoruba people, which they probably right here are talking about
Yeah, they about to go to the
proto
L1. Yeah,
Beni
yep.
Congo people.
Yeah, they about to go to this L1.
What'd you say, bro?
I said, yeah, they about to go into this L1
Oh yeah,
macro
the L1. Oh
haplogroup.
yeah, the markers. Yeah,
Yep.
up until 11,000 years ago, sub-Saharan West Africans burying macro haplogroup L, E1B1A11, E1B1A6, all these different L markers. I ain't gonna go through all of them. May have migrated through North Africa into Europe, mostly into Southern Europe. See?
Yep, there you go.
You know what I'm saying? In West Africa, the Heliocene wet phase ushered in expanded rainforest and wooded savanna from Senegal to Cameroon between 9,000 BCE to 5,000 BCE. Niger Congo speakers independently developed agriculture, with yams and this sorghum, which is some type of, what is that?
It's a plant. It's a plant.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Oil palm, refill
Palm.
palm
Yep.
were domesticated as early as 900 BCE. Two seed plants, black eyed peas,
Mm-hmm.
bo 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 and boanesia, which is
African groundnut.
African ground nuts, were domesticated, followed by okra. That's why all you abos talking about okra was from America.
That's a bully right there, boy.
This 9,000 BCE.
Whew.
And cola nuts, you know what I'm saying, which where we get the the Coca-Cola or cola flavor from. Prior to 5,000 BCE, the agricultural practices were spread throughout the woodland savanna, and afterward were introduced southward into West African forests. See, Chief X, we weren't always in the forest. We were more wooded savanna type people. Since most of the plants grew in the forest, the Niger Congo speakers invented polished stone axes for clearing forests. 10,000 BP to 7,500 BP. During the Green Sahara at Gobirio were two groups: the Kefians and the Tenarians. Side of the Kefians would have been Nilo-Saharan type people.
Yep.
And the Tenarians would have been a kind of they would have been one people. They would have been a mixture, or people representing people trading, like Niger Congo people trading with Berbers and other Nilo-Saharan type groups. Would have been a kind of a junction type of thing. Even though they naming them as they were just one people, but these are material cultures. It was
Right.
Ethnically they would have been a little bit multi-ethnic. But the Kefians were definitely Nilo-Saharan. But between 10,000 BP to 8,000 BP, Kefians were hunted untamed animals. They used harpoons. What I was talking about earlier. The Nilo-Saharians and Kefians were known for these harpoon tools, weapons, tools to help them hunt hippos and stuff like that. Were constructed, stylized, zigzags, wavy line pottery, and fish. They known for their wavy line pottery too. Fish hooks between 70,000 BP and 4,500 BP. The Tenarians hunted fishes, herded cattle, and constructed pentatilic design ceramic. This would have kind of been a predecessor to some of the fuller proto Fulani too.
Okay.
In the steppes and savanna of the Sahara and the Sahel, Nilo-Saharan speakers started to collect and domesticate wild millet and sorghum. So they got the wild millet, trading with these Monday people. Of course, they know for the sorghum too. Later, gourds, watermelons, castor beans, and cotton were also collected and domesticated. The people started capturing wild cattle and holding them in circular thorn hedges, resulting in domestication. So they did it independent, their own style, even though they were witnesses of other groups like the Cushitic group, doing it, but they did it their own way and their own style.
Right.
Amir early Heliocene wet phase, a ciliar man may have occupied a ciliar in the Sahara region in northern Mali, near what is likely a lake between 9,500 BP to 700, 7,000 BP. Now, what was a ciliar man? Oh,
Yeah,
it's a
I heard.
Neolithic skeleton discovered by Theodore.
Mm,
Wow.
Found in
Neolithic.
Mali. Okay.
Yeah.
They got a picture of him?
See. Ciliar man specimen has been dated at around 60,400 BP, making it an older, no older than the Heliocene, along with such fossils as Awo, Iliro, and Ashango, which were excavated in archaeological sites in West Central. You probably been, oh, see, yeah, here we go. Acilio is one of the earliest known anatomical modern humans. Skeletons of Negroid type. So he would have been like it. Check D out. I'm talking about him too.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see. I see a joke in there.
So he must have been your typical person that looked like a West African that we would think of like a Monday person or Igbo person or something like that. You see how they generically put Negro in or whatever. Even though I
Yeah.
don't go with that type of uh, classification, but he would
Right,
have been a
right.
he would have been a Western Sudanian or a Sudanese. By
Okay.
8,000 BP, canoes, the Funu canoe, were being utilized in West Africa, while some Niger Congo speakers may have utilized bows and arrows to hunt. Other Niger Congo speakers, Atlantic Bach, Kru, Kwe, Ajo, who diverged from the hunters. See, these are their ancestors. May have our ancestors, bro, may have utilized canoes to search for resources and along the river systems on towards the seacoast of West Africa. In Western Africa, there may have been independent invention of bows and arrows. I'm gonna stop there because that's going into the Neolithic and go into the Neolithic next week. But I got other sources for her too that kind of supports what I was saying. Let me get back out of it real quick. So, this is what we're talking about right here. What we're talking about right here. The ancestors of what I'm saying, the proto Niger Congo speakers right here. So right here at the bottom, say I started West Africa 12,795 BC. Kind of summarize what we was talking about, cultural and human repliments. This is from Christopher Ayres' perspective, or from his work. On other side of the continent, West Africa, Middle Stone Age industries using prepared core techniques, and their archaic human makers still prevail apparently everywhere down to the close of the last glacial maximum, 13,000 to 12,000 BCE. From Senegal to Ghana and Nigeria, and then perhaps no more than 2,000 years between around 13,000 to 11,000 BC. Uh, the Middle Stone Age populations and their tools disappeared, replacing by different varieties of full later Stone Age West African microlith complex. The earliest uh, currently known sites of new complex occurred from Ivory Coast to Burkina Faso to southern Nigeria. The Iwo Iliro skull, although represented an individual alive at the time of the arrival of new microlith technology, was quite distinct from all subsequent West Africa modern humans and not ancestral to them. The intrusion of fully modern humans uh, communities brought the previous age to an end. And in a relatively short period, they replaced the archaic human makers of the last Middle Stone Age cultures as I mean, all across West Africa. But were these people intrusive from? The language of West Africa from 12,000 to 11,000 BC onward belonged to as far as can be told to the western branch of Niger Kaddofian family. The limited extent of the other equally complex primary branch of family Kaddofian to areas just north of South Sudan today indicate that the Western Nigerian Kaddofian language were carried to West Africa via a long extended expansion of people westward from South Sudan. Virtually no archaeology work exists as yet for nearly all the crucial intervening regions from from work from Western South Sudan through the Central African Republic to Eastern Cameroon. Did this expansion proceed over extended ages westward during the last parts of the last glacial maximum, or was it rapid dispersal at onset of boiling aerolode inter stagial sketch? I don't know what the hell that shit. Interstagial encouraged by the northward expansion of favorable savanna and woodland into those intervening lands. Those are questions we cannot yet answer. But this article is a little older though.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
some of this stuff been confirmed in the article we just read, which had like newer
Right. It's a
information.
2020
But this,
piece.
yeah, but this he was hypothesizing, right, a lot of things.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of things he was hypothesizing about was correct.
Yeah. Then right here,
Yeah.
uh, I'll finish a little bit of
Let's see.
religious belief
Religious
along the
beliefs. Okay.
religious beliefs along the early Western Niger societies by the time of their movements into West Africa may already have begun to evolve into a quite different direction from the belief system of other regions of the continent, including among the related Kaddofian peoples of Sudan. It seems probable that the primary focus of the religious observance around 9500 BC and the Proto-Niger Kaddofian daughter society of the early Western Niger Kaddofians was ancestral spirits of clan or lineage community. In
Mm-hmm.
subsequent ages, ancestor veneration as sole primary a feature of religion all across the areas inhibited by Niger Congo peoples that modern day observers often think of these beliefs as typical of all Africa. They are not. They are specifically the feature of Niger Congo historical tradition. Territorial spirits of different localities may have been an equally early component of these beliefs. The belief in a third or highest level of spirit in a single transcendent creator God took hold early as well as Niger Congo religion, although possibly not as early as 9500 BCE.
Whew.
From what From what little archaeology we have, the early Western Niger Cadofians in West Africa appear to have favored neither heavy rainforest or dry savanna and steeps, and rather intermediate zones of woodland and well-watered savanna. Chief
Mm-hmm.
X.
Yep.
These this choice of environments may help to explain why one Western Niger Cadofian people embarked on crucial leap forward in technological and substance sometime before 9500 BC. The the onset of the Younger Dryas around 10,800 BC changed many of the areas settled by Western Cadofians from relatively well-watered savannas into much drier savanna or steeps, forcing the inhabitants into either following the retreated rainfall belt south or adopt new strategies for exploiting their now drier environment.
And
So
some
some
did
stay,
both. Some did
huh?
both. Some did
Yeah,
both.
some
Some
did both because
stayed.
they was in between.
Right.
And they
Some
had to
stayed.
trade, especially
And
them Savannah, no, the Savannah kingdoms, like the
mm-hmm.
Band-Aid, the empires that we know.
Yep. Yep. They
They were like
stayed.
middlemen.
Right. Yeah, they stayed, and then others went further south.
Yeah, yeah. So some stayed, some left, and, you know, facing the challenge. One particular group of Western Cadofian community speakers of Proto-Niger Congo language adopted two mutually enforcing innovations. They began to harvest several of the wild grain species such as fonio that grew in abundance after the rains in the steep grasslands of the dry savannas. At the same time, they independently invented ceramic technology, that's what we was talking about, and applied the new technology in fashioning pots in which they cooked their grains whole. When the Younger Dryas ended and the Heliocene era began around 9600 to 9500 BC, the belt of steep and dry savanna advances northward around towards the savanna, and the Niger Congo people it began to propose move northward, followed the spread of an environment that made their pursuit possible. The earliest direct testimony yet available for the transportation comes from sites dating it before 9400 BC, located along Ban, Ban, Bandagora es, es, escarpment in the modern day country of Mali, and just as areas into which dry savanna and steep environments spread around 9600 and 9500 BC, and uh, the end of the Younger Dryas. By the time by the time this economy and its uh, technology already had a history, its earlier stages would have taken place in the immediate preceding Younger Dryas periods, and because the lands around the Banda Agora excrement appeared to have been uninhabited desert during the Younger Dryas, these new developments must have come into being further south. Linguist evidence suggests that still another innovant development, not self-innovant in the archaeology, may have been underway among Niger Congo grain collectors as early as later 10th and 9th millennia BCE. Several verb
Mm-hmm.
roots for the deliberate tending of protecting of food plants can be provisionary reconstructed to the era of Niger Congo linguistic history immediately following the Proto-Niger Congo period, and one such verb possibility back to Proto-Niger Congo itself, the early descendant societies of the Proto-Niger Congo people. This evidence indicate were independently taking their first steps towards agriculture in the early Heliocene by engaging in pre-domestication cultivation. On the other side of the continent, the first stage towards food production came as early as ninth and 8th millennia BCE, when Nilo-Saharan peoples in the Eastern Sahara inhabited earliest herding cattle in world history. These same peoples, probably not much later, began also engaging in pre pre-domestication. See, that's they was, even though they was hunter gatherers, they were still collecting grains at the early stage. They
Yep.
finally start doing it consistently. They
It
say
says
cultivation.
pre-domestication, cultivation with
Yeah,
gourds and melons, then grains. That's
yeah,
the early crops.
yeah.
Okay.
That's what we was talking about too. Then with the Nile Saharians, like
Right.
cultivation with probably gourds and melons, and that grains as early crops. And also too, Niger Dolphins were also known for cultivation of yams and stuff like that too.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
In other words, Africa at the beginning of the Heliocene was not a place apart. The same uh, uh, track uh, tra-
Trajectories.
trajectories of human change were emerging in Africa as in several other parts of the world towards agricultural ways of life, and much further off time towards more complex and more unequal society.
Mm-hmm. That's a good read.
Yeah, yeah, and it's more than that. It's like he go all over. He go all over different regions in that. And right here, this is the Ounian point in northern Mali. This is what I was
Mm-hmm.
talking about. The Ounian is the Onanian. I mean, Onanian is that's synonymous with the Ngojo we were talking about earlier. I mean,
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Onjogo area that's in Mali. Bro, right here. Yeah, right here. Where this from Blanche. This from the language in the historian Roger Blanche. Right here, you talk about the hunters and the early proto Cadophans in the the Tenarians. He right here, I was saying, he said, story right here where he say, here there are also midge with remains of catfish, tilapia, hippos, antelope, soft-shelled turtles, crocodiles, and domesticated cattle. Artifacts found in uh, associations include bones, tusks from fauna, projectile points, ceramics, ivory bone, and shell ornaments. The Kefians and the Tenarians represent two distinct physical types associated with very different substance patterns. Artifacts associated with phase two occupation at Gobiro include microliths, bone harpoons, hooks, dotted wavy lines, pottery, zigzag, and press molding. This it is therefore likely that the phase two occupation were fish gatherers, hunting hippos, and perhaps Nilo-Saharan speaking. As a region eridified, the Kefians disappeared and were replaced by millennium later by the Tenarians. A very small amount of cattle bones were discovered, leading to the controversy about their pastoral lifestyle. Uh, uh,
Catacombs.
Garcia, yep, the calico, yep. Garcia, 2013, strongly asserted that this was in the case, but the alternative uh, interpretation interpretation is that they were hunters who were trading with pastoralists further north. See, that's what I think too. They were like,
Mm-hmm.
the hunter, like the proto Mende that was trading with the the Berbers and the also Nilo-Saharans would have been in that mix too, forming the proto Berbers. I mean, not the proto Berber, but the proto Fulani people who traveled in the Senegambia became the Fulani that we know today. That that trade off, or that that type of culture trade off would have would have sprung that up. Where I heard say The exact era of adaptation of bow and arrow in West Central Africa is unknown from the point of view of lithic technology. Arrows are simply tipped like small spears in
Mhm.
a pre-metal era. The technologies of binding a stone arrowhead or spear point to a shaft would have been virtually identical. The bow is functionally analogous uh, to the spear thrower in in increasing the range of the individual hunter. Saharan rock paintings show bows and arrows, but none are sufficiently well dated to perhaps unequivocal statement about their introduction into West Africa. Microlith technology appears in West African uh, record by the 12,000 BP. Archaeological culture known as the Onunian recorded in modern day Mali by 9 to 10,000 BC BP and defined by much projectile points. Onunian points look very much like arrowheads and may indicate introduction of bow and arrow hunting in West Africa. Hunters could travel further, shoot larger animals greater distance, and are thus able to rapidly compete and see to gatherers and perhaps spear users. And yep, this showed a list of different the different shorter, different eras, different stages in North Africa and Central Sahara. I'm trying to see where I was talking about if they were also Niger Congo, would have been the predecessors of Niger Congo speakers. Yeah, here we go. Right here, yeah, it's right here. Yeah, right here say simply. I'm gonna start at the bottom. They talking about the Keithians phase 2, or we already talked about they were Nilo-Saharan speakers. And it says similarly the Onunian culture of Mauritania, and they was in Mauritania too, as well as Mali, with its strikingly arrow points can be identified with Niger Congo hunting populations. Blanche 2006 uh, point points out that both bow and arrow can be uh, reconstructed in Niger Congo, which points out to an intract, uh, intract, intricate co-evolution of fisher foragers and land-based hunters during the early Heliocene. Yeah, that's dope. Proto-man. Right here, I was gonna say right here that how they were talking about how the Godolphins, still in Nuba Hills. They right here they talk about how certain hunters, like right here say right here this point to existence of the corridor joining the Nuba Hills to West Africa, along which various foraging groups may have traveled. No reconstruction for the names of crops have ever linked Godolphins with West Africa, so this would have been hunters trekking eastward prior to arid period after 5500 BP. Blanche to 1995 argued that the ravine corridor represented by the Wadi Hawar, which formerly ran from Nile Valley confluence to eastern Chad. That's what I was talking about. They people that were going to Chad, like part to Chad was even connected to the Nile. You got the Yellow Nile, which goes right into Chad, even though it's dried up today. Uh, Attracted pastoralists westward. The huntable mammals along its banks may have functioned in a way similar to the green corridors across the Sahara. So then was the people that some of the Niger Godolphin people
Mhm.
still in the Nuba Hill area, which would have been responsible for a lot of Nile Valley, saying culture. That's right here. This is the Bufunyu canoe we talked about earlier, West African
Okay.
canoe.
Okay.
So now I can show some of the people, some of the faces that we're talking about. Sudanese, these would have been people that came into West Africa, the late Stone Age people, or the proto Niger Congo speakers. This would have been an after effect of people migrating, Bantu migration. These people migrating into the interior Africa and mixing. These are the pygmy people, or the little people of the fours, the middle Stone Age cultures. These people would have been the people that intermixed with certain archaic humans that was already there, like the Iwo Iliro skull man that was found. Congolese. The Congolese are really like would have been a group of the Sudanians who or even also some of the other Sudanians like the EM33 Dogon type that would have migrated into the forest and intermixed with some of the the early Middle Stone Age groups like the forest people. They would have had their own little subclad of people, short stature. Some of them were short stature, but they had their own little sub hybrid of people that created a whole nother group. Swap people, and also I'm gonna show you the Nilo people, the Nilo-Saharan groups, Nilo-Saharans. Spread out throughout the Sahara and Nile Valley Basin too. These are older groups. Like Nilo-Saharans are genetically just as old as the Khoisan and some of the Twa too, but they just not as to separate them from the Twa. They're not as mixed with different archaic humans as they are. But you did have certain Nilo-Saharan groups like the Mandu people, the people that do the elongated heads.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, they live near the Congo, but they are Nilo-Saharan people. You know what I'm saying? They like the most southern Nilo-Saharan people. Like migrated. A lot of people think the Bantu just migrated into the Congo, but it was other groups like the Bangian groups. You know what I'm saying, like the Zandi, and also some Nilo-Saharan groups like the, the Mandu. They intermixed with some of the Pygmy and Bantu groups that was already there. It's the Nilo-Nilid. But the pre-Nilid would have been the ancestor to, proto-Niger Cadolfians, proto-Afrasians, or proto-Omotic groups. And the proto or the Nilo-Saharan would have been ancestor Nilo-Saharan, also today as well. Hadza would have been another example of some of the Middle Stone Age groups.
Yeah.
Some of the types that would have been all throughout. Even though they only found in Tanzania today, these spectrum of hunter gatherers would have been all throughout the northern regions. They kind of like a northern or northern more equatorial version of what we think of Khoisan people, San people. Yeah, covered a lot today, man. Yeah, I got some other photos. I showed I already showed the early archaic humans.
And Mount Dama.
Yeah, man, we covered a lot today, man. We get in next week. We're gonna get into the Neolithic era. You know what I'm saying? One of my favorite periods. You know, coming into more modern or more recent times. And, you know, talk about farming. And you got like Neolithic period, Neolithic area in West Africa. Well, out of all the all the Stone Ages, the most well documented. You know what I'm saying? I hope it's a lot of more
Mhm.
stuff we can find in the ancient portion of our history. But, you know what I'm saying? The future, you know, that's why we keep
Yep.
pushing the science and science literacy. Hope we can. You know, hope my kids go out there and be some, scientists, biologists, find some new stuff.
Right.
Yeah, man. We'll probably close it out. You know, this was the Book of Jahiz show. Uh, after this, I think after I do the West African uh, project or series, I think I'm gonna actually do a show on Jahiz so people
Hmm.
understand who he is, why man to show that, and also why kind of us as a science group, why it's important, what I'm saying, important
Yep. And
person in history.
yeah, and I would like to see you go over a lot of a lot of Eastern Africa, not necessarily Northeastern, because you kind of already covered that, but more so the Horn
Oh
and,
yeah,
and some of
yeah,
the
we're gonna get
Pacific
into
region.
that too. We're gonna get into that. We're gonna
Yeah,
go
and
like
then of course, Southern Africa. That's always overlooked.
yeah, I was
Uh,
overlooked too. We're gonna get into that too. We're gonna get into that. Even before the Bantu expansion,
exactly. That's what I'm talking
and
about.
so we're gonna get into the migration to Madagascar, and I can't wait.
Woo.
We gonna even get out of Africa. I'm gonna go into the prehistoric history of Europe.
Okay.
I'm gonna go
Hey,
into
let's
the
go to
people in the
let's go
India.
to Asia. Shoot.
Yeah, I'm going to people in the India, the people in the East Asia. We'll get into all of that, just like I did.
Go,
But
go.
next week we're gonna continue this part. I'm glad we did cover a lot today. We did finish. We finished the full portion of what I'm saying, the early Stone Age, middle Stone Age,
The Middle Stone Age, yeah.
and the late
A
Stone
little bit
Age.
of late. Yep.
And then next week we're gonna get into the Neolithic period. Can't wait. And please subscribe to the channel. Book of Keys, hit the button, uh, hit the bell so you get notifications. And if you want to show some love, my cash app is in the description. I take donations, and I will be having a Patreon coming soon because what I'm saying, I do want to build this and do more presentation type things, slideshows. Uh, you know, we're gonna elevate to get some more good visuals. We out, what I'm saying? Peace and love, family. About the building. Right on, Mel, for coming through.
Yep. Yeah, man. PC, bro. Thanks for having me on. Good build.
All right, bro. Peace. Peace, family.